Welcome to Type Tune Tint. I'm Tom Kranz. I love a good recovery story, and we've heard a couple here, but today's guest, Danny Shannon, has one of those stories that begs the question, how did you survive all that?
I have come a long way. I've got a long way to go too.
Danny's been sober for 14 years now, after 17 harrowing years of abusing every drug available in Australia, mostly heroin. He's been arrested, done jail time, escaped from jail, almost died in a motorcycle accident, and more. So how did he go from that life to developing a mobile app designed to help those in recovery? We'll find out more about the Encapsulator app and hear Danny's amazing story of recovery and rebirth. And I am joined from halfway around the world by Danny Shannon from Annandale, Australia, which I'm told is a suburb of Sydney. We are, I think 13 hours apart. So it's 9 o'clock at night here. It's what, 10 in the morning where you are, Dan?
11 a.m.
11. So, my time zones are completely screwed up, but thank God we don't need to worry about that. And through the modern technology genius of Zoom, we are here together for you folks, mere seconds apart. I really appreciate you hooking up with me here this way, Dan. I forgot how I first came upon you. I think I was doing some research on one of my other podcasts and I came upon recovery and I saw a YouTube video and you pretty much jumped out at the screen at me and I said, I got to get that guy, because Danny has a really pretty incredible story about recovery. Those of you who are fans of the show saw my show with the book From Junkie to Judge, where we talked to that lady who came through some pretty horrific childhood experiences, and then she came out on the other side. Danny's had different experiences, but he is the very successful entrepreneur and inventor of an app called Encapsulator, which is designed specifically for people in recovery to do video journaling, which, as I'm sure he'll tell us because he's an expert now, when you do video journals, when you write, when you do art, when you do music, any way of expressing your angst and your challenges and your goals and all the shit that's going wrong with you is really therapeutic. How am I doing so far, Dan?
I absolutely love hearing that stuff said out loud. Tom, so far you were spot on, mate. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. And you are talking to the future too, Tom. It's Friday morning here. And, in regards to Encapsulator began from me wanting to record a message to my future self. So just that concept alone and hearing you say it out loud. And the creative side, you just really give me an idea. I'm going to focus a little bit more on that because it really is a creative way to express yourself in a safe, private space without any fear of judgment. That's what Encapsulator is, mate. And I have been incredibly blessed to be on this journey of recovery. 14 years and almost 9 months clean and sober, Tom. So thanks so much, brother.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm not going to make you relive your entire story, which I think you've probably done a million times.
I don't need to.
But I just want to go through a couple of the highlights. So basically you were age 14, 15 when you first picked up, correct?
Yep, got drunk and stoned and got on the cream bulbs. They call them NANGs, the nitrous oxide, all in one day. That was my introduction to the next 17 years of misery, basically.
All right, now so before that, so there you are, you're 14 years old, you're an Australian kid. Did you have challenges in your youth? Did you have family issues? Did you have stuff did you have trauma that you were trying to self-medicate, I guess is my question.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to say this for all the people who may not have, not really, mate. My father was a criminal. My dad's nickname Shonky. He taught me everything I shouldn't know. And my mum is this beautiful, loving mum who taught me all my values and morals. I would not say that I had physical, certainly not physical trauma. I'm sure there's little bits and drabs of, mental trauma, but mostly no, mate. One thing that I want to just say to anyone out there who doesn't identify with the horrific stories we hear in recovery is try not to put yourself in a different place, because what happened for me, the day I picked up drugs, I never stopped. I became an animal overnight. And you know, it doesn't matter what our backgrounds are, who our connections were, all our stories. Like, what I know is I picked up a substance and I could not stop. You know?
Right. So you sound like, actually lots of kids in the US too, people who, because of either peer pressure or because of just stupid youthful curiosity, you decided, I'm going to try this and I'm going to do this and I see what happens. And then that was kind of the beginning of a 17-year journey that took you all kinds of places.
Yeah, it's scary when you say it like that, because yeah, like anyone can fall into it. It didn't turn to shit until I picked up heroin, really. So the first, year and a half, um, well, let's say I dabbled, I experimented, and I would like to say back then, I was using pot, alcohol, those cream bulbs, LSD, speed, everything except heroin. And at that time, it was kind of, well, I was smoking pot daily. I was, using amphetamines on the weekends, maybe a trip LSD. But it wasn't until I picked up heroin at the age of, but just before my 16th birthday, that I would say that really, when we say 17 years, it started from then. That was the day, that was the beginning of the end, the day I first picked up heroin.
And so you talk a lot in other interviews that I've seen about heroin specifically, and
Yeah.
that initial rush and that initial, you called it this warm hug that you get.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never taken it, so I
yeah,
don't understand it. But
yeah.
from
Good.
everything I've learned from other people, heroin is a very hard addiction to kick because it really grabs onto you. I remember reading Miles Davis, the classic uh,
Yeah, right.
trumpeter. It took him
Yeah,
years to kick heroin, and he finally did it with the help of his father. Um,
yeah.
so would so you did that, and then you fell into and out of you ended up going to jail a couple times, got into a bunch of fights, and then you at one point you broke out of a jail, as I recall, right? That's a pretty good story. Can you give me just the short version of that, the name of the
Yeah, I love
jail,
to
and
hear it.
how you actually did that?
I love to give you the short version. Actually, Tom, on the 30th of July this year, I've got another event where I'm telling that story in front of 300 people. It's actually, I've turned it into it's become like a theatrical thing. Like, oh my God,
Well,
recovery
it's like
just
it sounds like a movie. I mean, if
it
that's got
made
to be in your book, man. That's got to be.
yeah, definitely. It's become like so. Yeah, I did, mate. I managed to scale a 24-foot barrel fence, leap off that, cut myself to pieces, run down the road towards a shark infested river, which I swam across, bleeding with pole air, the helicopters above water police. And basically, the short version is I got away, mate. It was the 6th of February. They caught me 7 days later on Valentine's Day. And I often say what a romantic story that was, because my partner, who also got done for harboring a criminal, was charged 7 days later, mate. So, yeah, mate. If anyone would like to hear that story, I'm sure you can look it up on the internet
What
and
was
get
the
lots of
what was the prison? The name of the prison that you said?
Silverwater Prison. Silverwater Prison.
Got it. Okay. Oh, maybe they've made some improvements in their security since then. I don't know.
Well, look, mate, I'm also quite closely connected to the most infamous and notorious jail escape ever. John Killick, who escaped by a helicopter from that same prison across the road. He was in like the full Macto part, but yeah, incredible, mate. And you know what? It's just part of my story. I never knew back then that that would be one of the stepping stones to me creating this wonderful world and journey and brand that I have today. But I
Sure.
love sharing those stories, mate.
Well, and it's funny because you sit and we kind of chuckle at it a little bit because
Yeah,
when you tell it like a
great.
story, it almost sounds like an adventure. It's a little bit like Shawshank Redemption when Timothy Robbins is crawling literally through the shit and he emerges covered, and it's just like you said you were covered with all this slime, but
Yeah,
it really was a part of your journey, part of the reason that you got where you are today. And you look back on it, and probably if you had a way of telling, the Danny of those days, maybe you would have some words of wisdom for him that would have maybe prevented you from going to jail in the first place, right?
yeah, you're absolutely right, Tom. I love that part of my story. I love every part of my story. The only thing I wish, because often people say, is, do you have any regrets or do you wish you could change anything? And actually, I don't, Tom. I'm incredibly blessed to be where I am today. I'm literally here talking to you in New Jersey, which, by the way, I absolutely love. I'm obsessed with America. You see here, I've got New York in the background. This is my manifestation, which I know we'll talk about later, Tom. But in 2027, I see myself being in an office in Manhattan overlooking the beautiful New York skyline. I'll be happy to be doing it from New Jersey too.
Oh, I believe it.
You can see it. Yep.
Well, if that happens, I'll take the train up and we'll go have lunch or something.
Yeah,
It sounds, I mean, you've come so far. Why not that, So, tell me why. So I read somewhere that you first kind of got the idea for making this app during a visit to the States. Is that true? And what was that? So what was the genesis? How did that happen?
Okay. I love that we're getting into this already. Thanks, Tom. I often get carried away with my recovery story. I forget to plug my business,
Well, we'll get back. We'll interweave the two, But I'm here because of Encapsulator. That's how I first was
okay, mate. Look, I would love to share the story to you. I worked in treatment. I worked in a rehabilitation center where we took high risk offenders coming straight from prison. And we also took some people from the community. And I worked there for 10 years. I built myself this wonderful life and career working there. It was wonderful for my recovery. And I was in 2016, I just celebrated a milestone. I was sitting in my office on the opposite side of the desk where I once was a client, by the way, and I said to myself, I wonder, I was really excited, I've actually I think I was 6 years sober that day. And I was really excited. And I thought to myself, I wonder what I was like when I first entered recovery. What was I thinking? How was I feeling? I often talked about the early days, but I forgot what it was like to be there. And I thought, what would be wonderful if I recorded a video to my future self for my 10-year milestone, okay? And which was very ambitious at the time, because often we talk in recovery about keeping it in the day and, it's a daily program. But I think it's also incredibly important to have goals and dreams,
Sure.
I said. And so, mate, Tom, I did a little bit of research on some questions that you could answer when talking to your future self. I printed out this piece of paper. It had like 15 questions. I started the camera rolling. And mate, immediately the first question was, what was my name and what was today's date? And as I said that, I thought, this is quite unique. This is me talking to my future self. I'd never done that before. Tom, have you ever recorded a video to the future you?
No.
It's a beautiful therapeutic process, okay? Some of the questions I asked was, what was my dreams? What was my goals? I asked about my family. And immediately when talking about my family, I also noticed I got quite emotional. I thought to myself, I hope I'm alive. Because, in my journey of recovery, by that time, I'd lost about 80, 90 people dead from, heroin overdose, suicide, alcohol-related deaths, because I'm in a big community of recovery at that stage. So I thought about myself. I thought, I hope I'm alive. And then I thought about my son, my mum, my dad, my sister, and I thought, I hope they're all okay too. So I started talking about stuff that I'd never spoken about myself in this private, confidential space. And I thought this would be a wonderful tool for other individuals to also do in the early days of recovery. Imagine, people would come up to me and they'd say, Danny, oh, shit's so bad. Like, when is it going to get better? And I could say, well, actually, Johnny, go and have a look at the video you recorded when you first came in. You've changed. We see, as professionals, we see so much change in people that they are unable to see themselves. Well, Encapsulator assists you to do just that. Well, Tom, to jump back a bit, so I'd done that, and I'd done that for a couple of years. I had no idea about Encapsulator. I was just helping people document their stories and have something to reflect back on.
So you did it. They did it like on their phones or something. They just did it.
I had a little agreement that they would sign, that they gave me permission to record and store the videos. I told them that I wouldn't watch them.
But they could watch them if they wanted to, and they could watch them and see how they progressed.
That's right,
Oh, that's a
exactly.
great idea. That really
In
is.
2017, I went on the trip of a lifetime to America. I traveled 18 states in a camper van in an RV, as you call it,
Is
from
that right?
LA to New York, via Florida, and I did Narcotics Anonymous meetings the entire way, right? And I
Wow.
started meeting all these freaking incredible individuals in America, entrepreneurs, all on
Yeah.
the hustle. You guys don't have nowhere near the amount of support that we have here. Like I've done 50 rehabs in my time. You've probably heard that
I did
as
49 rehabs. I didn't know there were that
yeah.
many. Jesus.
Well, yeah, mate. So I've done that many services. Like over there, I realized all these guys, I had it so easy. And anyway, my point is, I met all these people on their own little hustle and their little journey. And by the time I hit New York, 8 weeks later, I'm sitting in an apartment in Manhattan with this chick called Tara, and we're having a chat about the work that I've been doing with my video recordings. I was calling him a time capsule then, and we were talking about maybe I could turn this into an app, and maybe it could be like a recovery tool where people. And mate, Tom, I was fucking pumped. I literally the day I got back from America, I went to the bank. Thank goodness by then, I should have said too, like in my journey, I'd bought a house. Like I was 7 years clean by that time. I built myself a career. I
Mm.
had a credit history that was going to allow me to go to the bank and take out a pretty decent sized loan. I also connected with an app developer who sat down with me and we brainstormed my idea. And mate, he put together this incredible proposal. I
Oh.
thought that's my dream. That's what I want. And I said, let's do it.
And so you did.
Yeah,
So just to review,
sure,
so
definitely.
you in a very short time, a short period of time, to me anyway, you got sober starting essentially in Christmas of 2009. We're going to go back to
Yep,
that story in a minute. You then
sure.
got educated, you got a degree and you got certifications in recovery,
Yep.
and you
Yeah, I
actually
did.
became an expert. And then you got
Yeah.
working in recovery with other addicts and ex-addicts. And then you came to the United States because you had already started doing this kind of video thing. It was in its infancy. You spent, this time going cross country, and then you came up with this idea, and then you borrowed money and you started this business all in the course of what? A few years?
Yeah, well, yeah, so by that time I was 7 years sober, but literally a few years, 2 years, Tom, like from the time
Yeah.
I started that, what would they call that? The project where I was just recording the videos, and to the time I started, I took out the loan and I invested heavily in this concept that I did no research.
Yeah, of
Tom, let's
course.
say this too. I did everything back to front. I'm an addict. I wanted it straight away. I didn't look into anything to do it. And I just said, I got a proposal. I said, yep, that's what I want. Let's build it. And that's exactly what happened, mate.
That's just amazing to me. You spent all those years doing, excuse me for saying so, a bunch of dumb shit
Yeah,
and
yeah.
being addicted. And then once you got sober and you could like see a straight line, things started to come together. And this encapsulator came together really in a relatively. So, how long has it been since that launched? What year did you launch Encapsulator?
I launched it in January 2018.
Okay.
Um, and I tell you what, it has been a slow journey.
Yeah.
But it's been a journey of weekly milestones that would never like so much incredible stuff has come from well, in fact, pretty much we've met because of Encapsulator. Encapsulator catapulted me into the social media world. It got me sharing my story. Encapsulator is all about stories. It's your story, your strength. It enables individuals to record and document their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their future aspirations, and giving you this safe space to express yourself without any fear of judgment. It's all my story. Everything I do is kind of revolves around that. So even though
Well,
it has been a slow journey, we've been very blessed to have all these incredible milestones along the way that would have never stopped me from looking back,
Sure. Well, and if it's been since 2018, so that's 6 years, right? 6 and 8,
Yep. Yeah.
2024 now. So the app has gotten better, and I'm sure you've seen ways to make it better. And I went on it, and it's kind of idiot proof. You log in and you do your free, and there's Danny, and Danny tells you what to do. And then Danny tells you the next thing to do. And then you have a choice to do a number of different programs. You can stay on the light program. You can upgrade a little bit and pay a little bit of money each month and keep on going and going. More with Danny Shannon in just a moment. And we're back with Danny Shannon from Annandale, Australia. And I'm here in New Jersey. So, the technology, who would have known 20 years ago we'd be able to do this, and actually look like, decent human beings here. So we began talking about Encapsulator, and I put the name up on the screen, encapsulator.io. That's the website where it's a good place to start. I started on my laptop because you see everything. It's a little easier to kind of get into it, but then there's also a phone app as well. So you've developed this, and it's been up running for 6 years now. So you have a team working with you, I presume, and I see a couple members on your website. It's not just all you, although I would say you are the propellant that really moved the app to reality. Tell me a little about your team.
I have a team of 5 individuals who help me on a daily basis to grow Encapsulator. I certainly really I'm so blessed because I don't do any work. I don't do any research. I'm very spontaneous, and thank God other people around me help me roll everything out. So
well, it seems to me like you're the energy force that kind of drives it, and the people around you help put your dreams and your vision into actual effect. And that's what that's what CEOs do, man. You're like the idea dude, and you've got some good people around you who can kind of grab onto the vision and make it happen, right?
For some reason, Tom, I'm able. This is incredible. I'm able to get before and in contact and have meetings with whoever I want. Like, that's for some reason I've been able to connect with the biggest hitters out there. Like, and when I say biggest hitters, I know it's not all about that, but it is sometimes in business. So
sure, no, I totally get it.
Yeah, I've always had this ability. Like even back in jail, okay, even in jail, I'm no big tough nut. I mean, I know I've got a rough head, but back then I was like 60 kilos, mate. When I was locked up, I was wringing wet. Like I was nothing, but I was always able to manipulate. I'm going to say manipulate because manipulate can be a positive and a negative, but I was always able to manipulate the situation to keep myself safe and get myself where I want to be, basically.
Well,
that's
I was going to say you're a good socializer. You're a person. You're very you're quick on your feet. You're a good talker. You don't talk. I mean, when I say you don't talk shit, I don't mean that you don't use the word. I may what comes out of your mouth is truth, and I think there's reality there, and I think people recognize that, and they've seen that you're for real, and that getting rid of addiction just allowed your creativity to just kind of come through, and that's a hell of a story. It really is.
So it's just about being vulnerable, and I've learned the most powerful tools in this journey for me to be talking to you is almost my vulnerability, my ability to connect authentically. Like it's powerful stuff, and it's those meetings that I was able to set up with all these big CEOs from all around the world that have really helped me get to where I am today. And that's why my team benefit. They just go, Danny, you just do your thing. I'm so lucky. People don't often tell me to do anything else. When they do, I always listen. I'm really open-minded. If I
Yeah.
make a mistake, I'm happy. I hate it. It hurts, but I'm happy to look at it very quickly and rectify it, but mostly they say, Danny, just keep doing your thing. We'll do this part.
Yeah, that's really excellent. So is Encapsulator your thing? Do you have what we call a day job also, or is this is your living? This is how you do it?
There's another organization I manage called Encapsulator Support, where we run online groups 5 days a week at 11 a.m., helping individuals come together, break the isolation.
Mm.
People on the NDI, the National Disability Support Scheme, and I also run this for anyone out there, but I run these online workshops where I basically bring people together in an online space. I give them a sense of connection and community, and I've got about 30 different topics that I can run ad hoc, whatever feels right, and we use the app to reflect on what they've learned each session, so it all comes back together. But that's my day job, really.
I see.
Encapsulator does not stop, bro. Like, from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed, Encapsulator, the app, has been my baby forever. It always will be. But
Oh, I can tell. I can
obviously,
tell.
yeah,
And so
but yeah, I do have that as well.
talk a little about your family. So you mentioned a son and a daughter.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what ages and what are they doing? What's with them?
If anyone's watching this, right above my head right now, it says Amalia and Joshua.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's got a little crown there if I put my head like that. But Amalia turned 7. She's been counting down for the last 43 days. She turned 7 on Sunday this week.
Okay.
She's my beautiful little girl, and Joshua's my 22-year-old son. Man, these two kids have two completely different experiences with me as a dad. My poor son, bless him, for the first 8 years of his life, visited me in jails and institutions.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
we had we had no relationship really for that first 8 years. I have spent the remaining whatever amount of years that is building a relationship with him. My daughter, on the other hand, has only ever experienced dad in recovery on my best. So yeah,
Wow.
two beautiful children. I
That's
speak with both of them every day, basically.
that's awesome. Well, so your son, he knows the whole you.
Yeah, he does. He
Well, I mean,
does.
for better or for worse, maybe that's a good thing, Maybe
Oh,
that's
it's a good thing, mate. It's a
as
good
and as he gets older, he's going to appreciate you more and you're going to appreciate him more. I want to ask you a little bit about 12-step programs. Why do I want to ask you about that? Because when I was going to AA meetings, of course, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is built on the Bill W. 12 steps back in the 1920s and 30s. And
Yeah.
when I was speaking to my judge friend who went through rehab and recovery in her 30s, she kind of, the whole idea of in the 12 steps, giving yourself over to God or to a higher power, that's one of the hallmarks of the AA program. She was uncomfortable with that. She didn't want to give up anything. She wanted to feel like she was in control the whole time. I mean, unfortunately, that's addict thinking, I get it. But she thought there might be a better way. And since then, I've come to see that there are a number of other recovery programs that are they're kind of alternates to the 12-step programs. And I'm wondering what your experience was in rehab when it finally clicked for you. Was it a 12-step kind of program, or was it some different, alternate of that, or did you kind of make it up as you went along?
I absolutely really love what you just said around. I feel like your my journey similar to the way you just described it. I could be wrong, but so it started off for me big in fellowship. Today it's not. My recovery, the foundation, I will never forget where I come from. And I went to a meeting last night. So just so we're clear, I try to do at least one meeting a week. Ideally two would be great. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I understand they've definitely come from the same place. I'm going back to AA
Sure.
back then. But I feel like one of the things you mentioned, the God part then, and I just want to touch on that because I feel like that's one of the most scariest and things that push people away
Yeah,
from the film
totally.
too. And I completely understand her. So now, for me personally, I didn't give a fuck about. I think God whatever, group of druggies, group of drunks, dog spelled backwards. To me, didn't have a problem with that. Like I was fine to just go along with it. But I've since met hundreds of people who think that if they go there, that they're going to be brainwashed by some kind of God loving thing. And it's just not true. For me, it's never been.
No, it wasn't true for me either, but it does scare people off.
Sobriety looks different for different people. Recovery looks different for different people. And who am I to tell you? I used to think, let me tell you this, NA made me think there's only one way of recovery. For a long time, I was brainwashed that if you were drinking on weekends, but you stopped using ice, that you were just lying to yourself. Like, fuck, I was delusional, man. Like, I used to honestly think, who did I think I was? But today I don't. I subscribe to the fact that recovery equals your level of happiness. If you're happy, good for you. I'm going to support you on your journey. If you want more help, come and see me, But other than that, good on you. Recovery is whatever you want it to be, I think.
So I don't know. Are you cured or what?
No, I don't think I am either. And do you know what? Maybe I am, right? I want to say this. Maybe I've had enough connection with other people doing their form of recovery. Maybe I am, but I tell you what, I hope to God I don't risk it, because I'm really happy for me in total abstinence.
Me too. Totally.
I think this is what I love. Maybe I could have a drink on the weekends. I don't know, but I don't want to fuck with it anymore. So no, I'm slowly changing my thoughts around it, but that doesn't mean I want to have a drink. I don't think I can. I definitely don't think I can have a drink. I've got 5 things. Can I tell you the 5 things? If you're struggling, this is my 5. You know this stuff, right? Number 1, get out of the house. You're at home with the killer. An addict alone is in bad company. You need to be connected. That's what my groups are about. My weekly groups that I run, to get connected. Number 2 is find yourself a mentor or a sponsor, somebody who you can sort of rely on, who can lead the way, because we can't do this alone, okay? Number 3, for me, get yourself to some therapy meetings, whether it's 12-step fellowship, one-on-one counseling. You need to be doing some work on yourself. Number 4, I do believe I needed to find some kind of a higher power. It can be whatever you call it. It doesn't have to be God. You don't have to see the fucking light. It's just about something bigger and better than me. And number 5, and the most important one, and I truly believe this, is what are you doing for mankind? Because if you're not giving back to this world, you're taking. And if you're taking, I don't think you're going to go anywhere. So the more I give, the more the universe provides. And I only keep what I have by giving it away. Tom, if anyone's missing, count those 5. How many of those are you doing? If you're missing 2 or 3, fucking have a look at it, because that's why you're fucking struggling.
Yeah. Boy, that sounds like a great way to end this interview here. I only want to just kind of end it on my end by saying that sobriety has made everything so much easier. How many fewer decisions do you have to make every day, because you don't have to worry about where you're going to get your next fix from, where the next drink is going to come. Should I have wine with dinner, or should I stay sober to drive home? Should I, you know what I'm saying? It just made everything so much easier and simple.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Glorious, isn't it, Tom?
Well, listen, I wish you all the best with Encapsulator. Folks, it's encapsulator.io on the web. Danny also has a Facebook group called Sober Squad. And that group is loaded with people who have recovery stories, people looking for a little bit of inspiration, people looking for help, people who give help. And they're all there, and it's free. Just got to follow the rules, be a good person when you're there. Do you still do the Kick the Shit podcast?
Yeah, Tom, I'm coming up to season 3 of Kick the Shit podcast. You can find that on all your favorite podcasting platforms.
I want to wish you a lovely, what is it, Saturday where you are now?
Friday.
A lovely weekend in Annandale, Australia. I really appreciate you joining me.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best.
Thanks so much, Tom. And thank you to everyone.